Welcome to React tutorial series. In this video, we're going to learn about React router. So till now, what we have done, we have added all our code in this app.tsx file, right? And we have only one page. But in real application, you will see multiple pages. And on a click of something, sometimes the page changes. We show different pages in our application. So how will you do that? So for that, we're going to use React router. This is the website of React router. This is the most popular router available for React. You can use any other router also, but this is the most popular, so we're going to use this React router. So what do you mean by router? In any web application, in a URL, so URL is not static like this, right? When you open google.com, it is not only google.com. You have something else after the URL, right? So this is our application that we are writing. So here, suppose you have one route called page one, means one URL that slash page one, and then you want to open some page, and if the URL is page two, then you want to open another page, right? So how will you do that? You can definitely add two components in your application, page one and page two, and depending on some conditions, you want to open page one or page two. So for that, we need the router, React router. So to understand this, we need two pages, right? We need two components. So let's write that at first. So in this source folder, I'm going to add one component called page one.tsx. So this will be just one basic React component. So I'm going to start with importing React. Import React from React. This is the then I'm going to add one component called page one equal to one function. As it is TypeScript, I have to return something here, returning j6 dot element, and I'm going to return one simple div with some text as page one of the application, right? And then I'm going to export it. Export default page. This is one page, and I'm going to copy this page and turn it into page two. So we have page one and page two. In our app.tsx, I'm going to show page one. Let's remove all those old code. I have to import page one. All right, we're showing page one of the application, but sometimes you may want to show page two. So importing page two also. All right, we're showing the page two of the application. Now we want to show page one or page two according to the URL. So in the URL we have page one, so we should show page one. If it is page two, we have to show page two of the application. So how will you do that? So if you go to React router website, you can see some of the router components. We have browser router, hash router, and other router components, but for now we need only browser router or hash router. You can use any one of them. The difference between browser router and hash router is that hash router uses the hash part of the URL. Means suppose this is the page, this is the URL, and you add hash slash page one. Whatever is there in the right side of the hash, that is the hash part of the URL. So the thing is, if you change the hash part of the URL, the page does not refresh. Okay, suppose I'm from page 3 to page 6, I'm adding, the page will not refresh, but the JavaScript can sense that hash change. So that's why this hash router or hash part of the URL is important. But in modern browsers, with the help of this history API, is somewhere mentioned over here, using this history API in modern browsers, even if you change the full URL, still browser will not refresh the page. But we'll discuss those later in some other video, how history actually works. But for now, just understand that if you use browser router, then you can access the full URL, and if you use only hash router, then you can access the part of the URL, that is the hash part of the URL. So you have to decide how you want to design your URLs, whether you need the hash part only or you want the full URL. That you can decide. So I'm going to start with browser router only. So first of all, when you want to use the React router, you have to uh, install it, right? So in our application, if you go to the package.json file is used for maintaining all the dependencies, right? So here we don't have router. Did I install it before? No, it's not there. So the first thing we have to do here is, so to install React router, we have to find out the package name. So if you go to the React router website and if I check examples, then I'm checking some of the examples here. Let's find out. Let's open this auth folder and package.json. They are using React router DOM. All right, we can use that. So npm install -save, then React router DOM. Let it install. Okay, it has been installed. Now you can see in the package.json this React router DOM has been added. Okay, now I'm going back to the React router website. So we're going to use browser router. So if you check the examples in the browser router, we have to use this browser router component. Let's do that. In the app.tsx file, I'm going to use this browser router. Browser router, VS Code will automatically import it for you when you autocomplete. Okay, so inside the browser router, you have to write your routes. So this is one simple route here. Let me copy paste this code. I have to import routes and route. So what is happening here? So it is saying that, so this routes is behaving as a switch. Okay, I think previously the name of this component was switch only. I think they have changed it now in the newer version. Anyway, so in this routes switch, we have to write multiple routes. This is one route, I can write two more routes. And for this one, let's add the path as page 1, and for the second one as page 2. We have two routes. Now route must be having some other item, that is I think component. So what we're adding here, for page 1 I can add page 1 here, and for page 2 let's add the component as page 2. So what we're doing here, let's test this. If I change the route to page 1, we're showing I have to remove this. So for page 1 we're showing page 1 application, and for page 2 we're showing page 2 of application. So it is working. So this is a basic example of routing in React. Now this is one way of writing routes, but have you noticed that if you write your routes like this, you cannot pass any props in your component, right? So that's why instead of passing this page 1 in the component, you can use element, and in that case you have to render this page 1 component here. So if you write your route like this, then you are actually rendering the page 1 here. That means you can pass props. Okay, so now you have these two routes, page 1 and page 2. But suppose you want to add some dynamic routes in your application. Dynamic means, for example, instead of just page 1 and page 2, suppose you have a route like user/user ID, right? So this user ID, this ID part will be completely dynamic. You don't have any control over the ID part, right? So how will you add this type of route? So in React router, I can add your path like this, user slash, then starting with colon, let's say user ID I'm adding. So this user ID will be one parameter. You can use that parameter in your component. So let's change this component a little bit. I'm going to add element, then page 2. All right. Now the question is, how will you access this user ID? How will you access this parameter? For that, React Router has. So let's go to page 2, and we're going to use a hook called use params. This is provided by React Router DOM. Now this use params will return all the params, and you can access your param, like our param is uh, user ID, right? You can access it from this params object. So I can just say user ID is params dot user ID. All right, now refresh the page. You can see that this is the user ID. If I change it now, you can see it is updated. So this is how you write dynamic routes using React Router. Now that you have multiple routes, how will you change from route 1 to route 2 instead of just changing the browser's URL, right? In your application, how will you link different pages? So for that, React Router has given something called link. So I'm going to page 1, and in page 1 I'm going to add some link, right? So if I search for link, you can see React Router DOM is providing one link component, and I can add some name like user, or I can just write go to users page, go to user page, something like that. And I have to add the target route using 2. Okay, the target route will be slash users slash some user ID. Have added users, so user, okay, only user. And in page 2 I'll add go to, I'll add one link, go to page 1, and the target will be page slash page 1. Let's see if it is working or not. So you can see this is page 2. We have a link to go to page 1. In page 1 we have a link go to user page. Okay, now one key point here, have you noticed that even though I'm clicking on this link, the page is actually not refreshing? The URL is changing, but the page is not refreshing because we are using this browser router, right? In browser router they are providing this link component. So when you use React Router's link component and then you click on the link, then actually React Router is using JavaScript to just update the URL, and it is not actually refreshing the whole page. And this is really important because you don't want your page to refresh all the time, right? Otherwise the page loading will take some time, right? So we don't want to refresh our page, and that's why we need this link component and this browser router to just change the URL but don't refresh the page. Okay, so that was the basic idea of React Router. React Router is actually huge. If you go to the React Router website and just scroll to the and just check the table of contents, it is huge. It's a lot of things to learn. So I encourage you all to just go to this page, React Router page, and then just read about the features. You don't need to know everything, but you should have the basic understanding of this React Router, whatever I have just shown you. With this knowledge, you'll be able to start with writing the routes, and definitely you'll have some problems. You'll find some roadblocks when you start writing your real application. Then you can go to that React Router page and then read about whatever the component you want to know. But at least you can start writing routes with this basic understanding of React Router. After this video, I highly recommend you to watch this video as well, because if you're writing React Router based web application, then you need to know how to deploy that in production as well. So watch that video, and if you have any questions, then please ask me in the comment section. I'll try to answer all of them if I can. And if you liked it, please hit like. And also, if you're liking this series, then please subscribe to my channel as well. Then you'll be able to find out all the new videos that I'm going to make. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.